All right, good evening, everyone. How are you doing tonight? Great to see everyone here. Welcome to the 2012 general election candidates forum put on by and hosted by the Camarillo Chamber of Commerce. At this time, I'd like to invite Mayor Emeritus Stan Daly to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in paying special tribute to the flag of the greatest nation in the world. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, so for those of you here in the audience and those of you up here, my name is Michael Lavenant. I'm the chairman of the Business Advocacy Committee for the Camarillo Chamber of Commerce. I'm also past chair for the Camarillo Chamber of Commerce. Today we're going to have the forum for the candidates for City Council. For those of you people that are in the audience, thank you for being here. For those of you that are watching on TV, also thank you for tuning in. I want to let you know that the order of the candidates' placement on the podium has been randomly selected by the candidates in a drawing, and that is going to be the order of the questions. We will alternate the questions, starting with to my left on question number 1, and then we'll go to candidate number 2 for the second question. Thank you very much for that reminder. If I can ask you to turn off your cell phone in the audience, please do so, out of courtesy to the candidates here. We are going to have 2-minute opening comments, followed by the questions. There's going to be 5 questions. Each one of you are going to have 1.5 minutes to answer the question. There will be a timer that you see in front of you. It will beep at 30 seconds left. That's not a beep to say that you have to stop. But when the light turns red and we get that 0 beep, I will ask you to stop. I will allow you to finish a thought. But out of respect to the others, we'll ask that you complete your speaking. Right now, let's go ahead and we'll start with the left. Council Member Kevin Kildee, if we can hear from you for the 2-minute introduction.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this, and it's not often I get a chance to sit in this seat because this is where our city attorney normally sits. I just want to tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a lifelong Camarillo resident. I'm married to my wife's name is Janet. She's a teacher at Soma School this year. I have 2 daughters, Madeline and Miranda, who are students here in town. We have a family business in Camarillo since 1954. My dad started it with about 5,000 residents in the city of Camarillo, and we weren't even incorporated in those days. He passed away 2 years ago, and I became the owner of the family business here. I've had the pleasure of serving you on this dais since 1996. I have a business background. I feel that that allows me to be uniquely qualified to carry on with the great service that we've had from the past council members, and we will into the future as well. The last 4 years, we've made some great progress in our city. We have a contract with LSSI to run our library. We've expanded the factory outlets. We've kept improving the quality of our roads, and we've also expanded our sales tax base, which is should be able to help us greatly into the future. However, the work is not completed yet. We have state economic woes here. We have the demise of the redevelopment agency that has served this city so well, and we've also had some issues with our job base and various other things that have affected the residents of our city with the downturn of the economy. I have the experience and the energy, and I look forward to serving you for the next 4 years.
Thank you, Councilmember Kildee. Next to his immediate left is Bill Little.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here this evening. I am running for City Council because I love this city. I came here 24 years ago as your city manager. Camarillo had lost more than $25 million in bad investments and poor management. I was recruited for the job because of my experience as a city manager and because my reputation as a strong financial manager. I spent my first 4 years rebuilding the city's finances. When we emerged from that ordeal, we were stronger and better able to serve the public. During my 11 years as your city manager, we accomplished many good things. I'd like to mention a couple of them. One was we facilitated the construction of the Camarillo Premium Outlets. We revitalized the business district in Old Town, and we secured the Camarillo Ranch for public use and historical site, saving Adolfo Camarillo's home for future generations. As your councilman, I will continue to strengthen the financial condition of the city. In today's climate and with the financial problems of the state, we must be vigilant that these problems do not become our problems. To promote the economic development and job growth, I will ask the council to reestablish the position of Director of Economic Development, which I had when I was in City Manager. We will maintain our high level of public safety in the City of Camarillo. I support the proposed Camarillo High School, academic high school. I served on the Citizens Advisory Committee. I am convinced it will enhance and create my educational opportunities for our kids. Finally, I strongly support reasonable growth on growth controls. We have a beautiful city, and we want to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And apologize, we had a little clock malfunction there, and appreciate you respecting the time there. Let's just... Okay. I think we're all set now. Okay, we're good. Thank you. David Schlangen, it's your opportunity for the opening statement.
Good evening. I would like to thank the Chamber for hosting this forum, but most of all, I want to thank all of you here and watching on TV for showing such interest in the well-being of our city. There are 4 reasons why I'm running for the City Council. I love this city, and I know Camarillo from living in it for 37 years. I have lived here as a child, a young adult, and now a responsible adult. I have gained a unique perspective as well as experience and knowledge of Camarillo that I will bring to the City Council. I also want to bring new vision and new energy to the City Council and be the next generation on it. A new base of experience must be put in place now, and I believe I'm that individual. Second, my experience and knowledge as a certified professional project manager working at Amgen for 11 years and Farmers Insurance for the past 4 have provided me the tools and techniques to get projects done successfully, on time, and under budget. This is vital because much of what they do on the City Council is project management work. Third, I have volunteered within the community. I'm the Vice President of the Camarillo Arts Council, the group that puts on the summer concerts and movies in the park. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and I'm the head usher at St. Mary Magdalene Parish, where I lead around 40 ushers. I believe that becoming a City Council member is the next way that I can help the citizens of Camarillo. Fourth, I would bring a fiscally responsible attitude and ensure both a balanced budget and balanced growth for Camarillo. Initiate more new neighborhood watches to protect the citizens of Camarillo, attract businesses and jobs, and continue to oppose the commercialization of the Camarillo Airport. I would also support the building of a new high school in Camarillo. I thank you very much for your interest, and I'm looking forward to the forum this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chris Valanzano.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chamber, for hosting this event. I believe that there comes a time in every city's history when the leadership must begin to transition from one generation to the next. For the great city of Camarillo, I believe that that time is now. This election, we need to focus on electing individuals who have a true vested interest in the city's future. As a lifelong resident, a husband, and a father of 3 beautiful children, I believe that I do have a true vested interest in our city. Interests that include preserving and maintaining our open space and our lush agricultural lands, minimizing traffic congestion, maintaining our quality of life, and remaining resolved to the community's historical motto that the people are the city. As such, my first goal after taking office would be to fight to try to place large zoning ordinance changes into the hands of the residents through use of the ballot box to prevent the city from overbuilding and to allow the residents to truly have a voice in the city's future. I'd seek to turn back the council members' salaries to what it was before the city had to lay off employees due to budget cuts. While it may not seem like much money to most, I believe that it's a matter of principle and the council's duties to put others first. I believe it sends the wrong message for the city's leadership to take any raise, no matter how small, while they lay off staff or decrease programs and services. I will seek to bring businesses back to the city, as Bill had mentioned, to fill our vast empty open space in our commercial real estate by creating the same full-time position that he's seeking to recreate. I would also ensure that Camarillo gets what it has been waiting for many years now, a new high school for our city's youth. As for my background, I'm a local businessman helping to run our family locally owned and operated business here in Camarillo. I'm a staff sergeant and reservist in the United States Air Force, which led me to serve in Operation Iraqi Freedom. I'm a past president of the Ventura County Board of Education, a former legislative staff member from the California State Assembly, and a current emergency manager and a DoD hazmat technician. I hope I can count on your support this election.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzuela. Mr. Puneet Sharma.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Puneet Sharma and I'm running for the Camarillo City Council. I want to thank the Camarillo Chambers of Commerce for putting on this forum this evening. Why I am running for City Council? I'm running because I have a vision of how Camarillo can be the country's most livable city. That vision is possible only by preserving a unique combination of technology, business, open space, and agriculture. What is my plan? Jumpstart the city economy, attract more diverse business than we have now, forge new ties with businesses, universities, and the community to create new jobs, promote innovations in agriculture, preserve open space, and streamline government functions, develop more educational opportunities from at least one new high school, and communicate with parents and school leaders and our students. Our children and their children should have the same opportunities your parent and their parent have had. Upgrade the city infrastructure, not only brick and mortar, but also improve transportation. There is also electronic infrastructure. We should be able to conduct more city business online. As an IT director of Oxnard Union High School District and a faculty member at California State University, Channel Island, I know how to get this done. Improve communication online and face-to-face with the city resident. I will hold meetings in your neighborhood and be available on the internet and in person. And we should only be talking about a pay raise only if our important programs like public transport, education, traffic management are adequately addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Matt Lorimer.
My name is Matt Lorimer. I've lived in Camarillo for 17 years. I'm married. I have a son. I'm running for city council basically because the community and basically the world, as we know it, in the last 4 years, we've been in the worst depression since the Great Depression, basically. People are still struggling. And I'm running basically because we need somebody who understands what it's like not to have a job, what it's like not to work 2 jobs. And they want a city to understand that. And they want to know that the decisions they make are going to basically impact them. Prime example of why we need new leadership in the city of Camarillo. This year in April, your city council, and one of the councilmen, Kevin Kildee, basically, passed the largest tax increase. For example, if you were to get a project done and you go into the planning commission and it couldn't get approved, you'd have to come to this forum. That basically used to cost you $950. It now costs you $2,349. If you're a business owner and you need a variance in your project, it used to cost you $1,500 and now costs you $48.98. The middle class have been hit hard. Businesses have been hit hard. This is no time to raise your taxes. It was the wrong thing to do of the city council. And on top of that, they give themselves 5 pay raises. Who do they really represent? Think about it. You're struggling and you want to grow more business in this community and they're raising taxes. Now they'll call it a user fee. It's a tax, okay? And to top it off, we have over 100 empty buildings and over 1 million square feet that's empty on the side of the freeway. So I hope you will consider basically electing somebody new. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lorimer. Okay, well, we have 5 questions for the candidates, and you're going to have a minute and a half, and again, there's going to be a 30-second warning for you. I want to let you know that the questions were developed with the Chamber and with the CEO, the Chamber Chair, and the Business Advocacy Committee, and we came up with these questions. There's already, let me go ahead and start with question number 1. There's already been some comments about economic development. And over the last few forums, that has been a constant theme, that there's a discussion about how can the city take an active role in reducing the number of businesses that leave Camarillo, Ventura County, and the state of California. In the past, over the last 2 to 4 years, we've seen major enterprises such as Imation, Technicolor, WellPoint, Zebra Technologies, and Harbor Freight either reduce their staff or eliminate their presence in Camarillo altogether. There's also recently a elimination of a economic development position. And the Assembly, Jeff Gorell, who was formerly on the Chamber of Commerce Board, elected to the Assembly, has launched the Gold Team on behalf of the state to go out there and try to recruit and retain businesses in California. I ask you, how can the city, or how should the city, take a more active role in retaining businesses in Camarillo as well as attracting new businesses? So, Mr. Kildee, I'll ask you to start off first, please.
Camarillo has a strong business community here. There's a number of businesses here that are doing quite well, but you have to remember that about 95% of our businesses in town employ about 5 or less people here. Those are the ones that we really need to focus on here because that's where the employment gains are. Technicolor, we did have some issues with some of the larger employers downsizing, getting bought out, and have moved on. What we can do is we do have business visitations here that we do in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. We always have our economic development team here in the city, and contrary to popular belief, we do have a team here, and it's a very active team. They take calls on a daily basis here to see what can happen and how you can improve the business climate here too. And our business climate is still really good, and if it wasn't, we would not have been able to expand the factory outlets. And I might add that that was the only shopping center that was developed that year in the state of California. There's a reason why they chose Camarillo and not other places. Another thing we can do is keep up the quality of life as well too. We need to have good schools. We need to have great parks here. We need to have things that people can do on the weekends as far as redevelopment of the Ventura Boulevard and the Art Walk and whatnot, so people can come to Camarillo, and great hotels, and hopefully we'll have a hotel and convention center that will help. And with the advent of the university expanding too, that will help. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Kildee. Mr. Little, the same question.
Well, when I was city manager, we had a person devoted to economic development. I don't believe that's the case in excuse me? Sorry, I'm not used to this.
There you go.
I don't believe that that's the case any longer, that the city has anyone really devoted to economic development. In the 1990s, when I was here, we had a city visitation program. The mayor and I, along with the Chamber of Commerce, visited new buildings and everything during every month for many years. We also had a person there that would field questions on economic issues. One of the things we did then was to get the people together in a room, and we sat down with the major staff members of the city and the business community and talked about what was impeding economic development in the city. From the city standpoint, what were we doing as a city to impede economic development? And we ended up making a lot of changes in that. I'm pretty sure that there would be, the same thing could produce a lot of good results, because having some understanding of how bureaucracy grows, I'm sure that there's some need to do that again after 20 some odd years. So anyway, I think that there is a lot of ways that you can improve economic development. And we need to look at all of those, but mainly we have to concentrate our resources now in order to, even though it may appear to be difficult economic times, we have to appear that we do what is necessary to get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Mr. Slangen.
Yes, thank you. While out talking to as many people as I can, some of them being business owners, a lot of what I've heard from them is that the process and the red tape that you have to go through to open up a business is just too much. And I would want to bring my project management skills of bringing people together and streamlining processes, making them more efficient and effective so that individuals don't have to go through that hard process to open up businesses here in Camarillo. And to attract new businesses, I would work with the Chamber and city staff. I know the city has done a lot with Today in America segment showing off the city, as well as being a member of the Economic Development Collaborative with Ventura County. So I would continue and expand those types of areas. But I would also make sure that in our marketing and advertising of Camarillo that we specify that we do have this really good proximity and relationship with the university, and that we have a high educated workforce for companies to use as their labor, that we need to make sure that is expressed when we're sending out and advertising to these individuals, as well as our great weather that we have here and the schools too, to lure those companies here so that they will stay here and that the citizens and the university individuals can get a job here in Camarillo and stay here in Camarillo after they graduate and not go off to other cities where there are more jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Valenzano.
You know, a great question. This was asked last campaign cycle as well, and I was one of the only ones who stood up here and said the same thing and say now. The relationship between the city and its businesses, there's a huge disconnect. Many of the business owners that I've spoken to are not happy with the city and how it functions. They feel actually bullied by the city, by the planning department, by other departments within the city. We need to actually work on our customer service skills and start realizing that these businesses are our customers, and we need to start putting their interest above, you know, the interest of the individual that's sitting there who's basically making the decision. We need to start working with them. We need to help, as David said, cutting through the red tape. I think online, we need to start making more of our processes available through the internet. We need to, as Bill had mentioned, the individual he spoke about, Jim Jevons, Director of Economic Development. We need to bring somebody in here like Jim. We need somebody who's focused on ensuring that our city is taking care of the businesses, that they are recruiting the people here that match our general plan, and that we ensure that they are happy within our borders. The city's got so petty that they're starting to even regulate things such as balloons and signs aboard gas station pumps and banners, and it's absolutely ridiculous to have to go pay a fee if you want to hang a banner up outside your business for a few days. We need to start thinking of these businesses as our customers and treating them as such.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzano. Mr. Sharma.
Thank you. I think city needs to do a lot of, they need to start doing a lot of things in terms of attracting businesses. Personally, I think the city has done very minimal to retain the business currently. A lot of businesses are leaving, and the reason they are leaving because there's not too good partnership between the city and the businesses. There is some, but there's not as good as the customer service and other things are required. It's like a cycle. You have to have businesses in the city. You have to have a good labor force. So to have a good labor force, you have to have good university. We have a very good university. We have a very good area where people would like to live. So it's basically a cycle, and the university is trying to create students with entrepreneurial skills so that they can have jobs or they can do startup businesses like we have in Bay Area. We need to do something. We need to reproduce like businesses are growing in San Francisco, in San Jose, the whole Bay Area. We need to have the similar concept. To do that, we need to make sure that we have an economic development director, just not a director, but a team of those who can basically do a marketing for the city. Today's America program, it's an okay. It's not the best. We need to do things, start out of the box. We need to go and talk to the businesses, what their requirement, what they think is feasible and required to help them to grow their businesses and hire more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Lorimer.
Well, first of all, if you're going to have a business, you got to have something. That's called capital. What you need here, and the city doesn't do it, you need to get with your bankers, have a meeting, all right, and say, hey, look, start lending some of your capital. Don't hoard it. And you say, look, how can we work with you? The banks don't want to lend money if they're going to be tied down in regulation in the city. So the city basically has to work in its framework, basically, to reduce the amount of time it takes for a project to move forward. That's the first thing. The second thing they need that they're lacking is a marketing plan. You know, it's one thing to sit up here as a councilman. We have one here, but it's another thing not to do your homework. You know, they partner. They pay $25,000 to the EDCVC. And you know what they say on that? When you go on that snapshot, they say, to learn if venture account is the right place for your business. It is the right place. Okay? You shouldn't, that's negative, basically. And another thing I'd like you to know, the information on there is from 2000, basically. And if you look at this, you know what they rate your graduation rate here in this town? 47%. Your city hired a company, partnership with, and you know who's higher graduation rate? Santa Paula. You know if you're going to be a city councilman, maybe you should do your work. Right now, we're partnership with this, and they say we have the worst graduation rate. If you're a business, would you spend money here? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I want to, as I mentioned earlier, these questions were developed within the chamber. They have not been shared with any of the candidates, but I probably is safe to assume that a lot of you knew that this question was coming. The city of Camarillo, it's a beautiful location. I think we all enjoy living here, working here if possible. We have amazing beauty in the views that surround us, the landscape that's around us. There has been discussion that the agencies, either on the city or county or state level, have mandated certain growth in housing. There's been criticism recently over the last few years about the traffic conditions through Camarillo, known as the Camarillo Crawl. New organizations are stepping up and saying that the developments that are proposed in the Springville area, as well as the Conejo Creek or Camarillo Lakes area, should not be developed at this point, or maybe even in the future. What is your philosophy on how Camarillo should continue to grow, or whether it should not grow in terms of traffic, new development versus redevelopment, urban landfill, and infrastructure capacity? I know it's a loaded question, but Mr. Little, if I can start with you on the issue of development, growth, and traffic.
Thank you. Well, first of all, the mandated requirements of housing have been met in this city for over the period of time that this mandate's in effect. Through the Springville approvals of housing there, there's still some houses to be built in Village in the Park. So there's no need to prove any new projects for housing, because what's already in the pipeline is takes care of whatever state mandates there are, which quite frankly shouldn't be the driving force anyway. But secondly, the timing of this is, as far as this particular project is concerned, is absolutely not realistic. To talk about a project with 2,500 homes and 1.4 million additional square feet of office and warehouse in these economic times, when no one is building anything, is totally out of sync with what should be done. My theory of building and developing in a city is to do it as you need to, and keep the options open for keeping the city as compact as possible. And I think one of the reasons we are looking at growth out there is because we allowed Camarillo Springs to jump out and be out there.
Thank you. Mr. Slangen.
As I stated in my opening statement, I'm the vice chairman of the Camarillo Citizens Advisory Committee. And I was appointed to this committee by the City Council. And what this committee does is that it provides recommendations and suggestions to the City Council on how we can better revitalize and better utilize older areas in Camarillo. And I don't feel that we need to build on every square inch of Camarillo. We can look at those older areas and, for example, have businesses on the bottom side with residential up on top so that we have room for new businesses to come as well as for new residents. So we can still grow without having to build on every square inch of Camarillo. With regards to Camarillo Crawl, I also would like to focus on within the city limits. To get from one side of Camarillo to the other side, just on Las Posas or Ponderosa or whatever, it usually takes a long time. So I want to make sure that we have the capital projects and infrastructure to widen streets if need be, so that when the 101 is backed up and alternate routes are being taken, citizens can quickly get from one end to Camarillo to the other and not to waste time sitting behind the wheel in gridlock. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Valenzano.
Well, I think it's amazing how people's answers change. 2 nights ago, when we were posed with a question regarding the Camarillo Crawl, most of the candidates up here were talking about having to put in signs that tell us how long it'll get from one side of the city to the other, or putting in meters that are going to meter how long it takes us to get on the freeway at the on-ramps. Now things have changed, and they're starting to talk about what I was talking about, and that's to stop building. Right now, we cannot support waste off our infrastructure to continue to keep building on the agricultural lands and expanding out into the outskirts of the city. As far as the EIR is concerned, there is, I believe, 9 level 1 unmitigatable problems with the current proposed Conejo Creek project. One of those is southbound on the Conejo grade. You can't expand it. There's nothing you can do about it. So how do you mitigate it? You can't. As far as taking care of the traffic, one of the ideas that I brought forward at that meeting also was expanding Pleasant Valley Road to a 4-lane road all the way from where it intersects Village at the Park to Las Posas, to open that up, to make it more safe for people to travel and to encourage people to take alternative routes that are going to take them off the freeway. The traffic itself is going to negatively impact our business. People don't want to come to a community where they have to sit in their car for 30 or 40 minutes to go 5 miles so that way they can go shopping. They're not going to want to visit our beautiful community if that happens. As far as redevelopment funds, I think the city should redevelop, but the problem is we lost funds at the state because cities like Camarillo were abusing their funds to try to actually use those funds to support development, new development in this city, and actually subsidize our developers.
Thank you. Mr. Sharma.
Thank you. First of all, I want to clarify this, because 2 nights ago when we were speaking about it, I did not mention about I did mention about that there needs to be a sign for the on the 101 so that it informs the people who are traveling on 101 that how long there is a traffic, how long they will get to the next intersection or to the next freeway. So I want to correct that. And then in addition to that, I think the Camarillo, as a Camarillo part of the Ventura County, as a Ventura County, we have one of the best agricultural land in the country, and we like that way because it produces one of the best crops and best fruits and vegetables. In addition to that, we have a lot of issues with the new development. We have currently, there is a state mandate which says we should have 2,400 houses per 5 year, 24 plus. Now we have Springville already there. We have a bridge there, goes to nowhere until there's a new construction is constructed. There's 1,350 houses will be built. There'll be another 400 houses built behind the Village at Park. So there is a lot of construction going on. I don't think so. The city needs additional housing need when there's not enough businesses where people will come to work. Typically, people will come and live in the city if there's business, if there's work available. There's not enough work available in Camarillo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Lorimer.
Well, we have a traffic problem, and part of that problem is 70% of the people are coming from the factory outlet mall, basically coming down from the Valley or Thousand Oaks or other areas. First thing you can do is promote rideshare, get with Caltrans. The second thing you could do, basically, you have a railroad track there. Why not get with them, see if they can run a line next to the factory outlet, so that way people are not driving down there. That's one possibility. Regarding building out here, you know, I've walked that area. I have pictures of it. We have 1 million square feet of empty buildings. I live near the Lamplighter Mobile Home Park next door to the Village of the Park, and there's property all over there. There's also garages, and nothing's ever been completed. There's plenty of stuff already. So, and you know another thing is too? I need to tell you guys this. My campaign, I'm not going to spend over $1,000. You know why? Because nobody is going to be in my pocket. You need to know that, okay? When I started this process, I was getting letters from everybody in the world going, well, we'll give you $1,000 and we'll give you $500. You know something? You get what you pay for. I don't have fancy brochures like everybody else, but you know something? I represent the people. Last night, the people, I think, made it very clear how they feel about this community and what they don't want. And you know something? You should respect that. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kildee.
Yes. We have in the early 80s, through an initiative process, we actually passed a growth control initiative that allows us to build 400 homes per year. Last year, we built 1. Growth is totally predicated on economic conditions here. And I also might add that we do have a housing element up in the state of California that has been approved. And we're one of the few cities in the whole state of California that does have our housing element approved. As far as the traffic goes, we live in a society where people have cars and they drive a lot. We've done some mitigation measures as far as trying to mitigate the traffic problems around the outlet. We've expanded Las Posas up to the interchange. We've also expanded Ventura Boulevard up to Carmen to try to alleviate some of that. And we're going to completely help out that situation too with the Springville interchange as far as taking some of the traffic off of Las Posas there. And there's also hope when that Rose Avenue interchange gets completed that will help too. Traffic is a work in progress. You talk to any traffic engineer and they'll say it's an art and not always a science here. As far as all the other issues that we deal with here in the City of Camarillo, we'll continue to represent you and deal with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. I know there's been some comments about the relationship between the city and businesses. I think the city, and from the Chamber's perspective, has worked with the Chamber well. We've always had, I believe, a good working relationship. The mission of the Chamber is to promote and enhance a positive business and community environment. The Chamber is connected with young professionals, the service organizations, community-based nonprofits, the university, and new businesses. Do you think that there is room for improving the relationship between the City of Camarillo and businesses? If so, what would you do to improve the relationship? And Mr. Schlangen, I'll start with you, please.
I believe that there is always room for improvement. If you're not improving and moving forward, then you're stagnant and you're just falling behind. And the one way that you can improve that relationship is what we do as project managers every day, and that's communication. Making sure that you have the right people to find out what the issues are so that we as a group can come up and solve those problems and implement solutions so that we can, as a community, both business and the city, move together as one. Communication is always important. It's not just a one-way street. I find that a lot of people just talking and they think that that's communication, but it's also listening and listening to the voice of the customer. So hearing the concerns of the businesses out there, actually listening to what they're saying, so that we as a group can come up with a solution with that. And so communication is definitely the way that needs to be. We as a group can move forward. So I would definitely bring a listening ear as well as solutions to the business to improve that relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bellanzano.
Well, I think this is pretty closely tied to our first question, so let me try to add a few things to it. The main question, can the city improve its relationships with the businesses? Absolutely, and it has to. There is a difference between the city's relationship with the chamber and the city's relationship with individual businesses, especially those who are not members of the chamber. You shouldn't have to be a member of the chamber just to have a good, close relationship with the city. The city should be reaching out to all of its businesses across the city and ensuring that their needs are met. Again, this gets back to the customer service piece that I was speaking about earlier. It just doesn't exist here. People have said when they walk into this city hall, it is a very cold environment. They feel bullied. They feel like that people aren't there to help them. They're just there to earn a paycheck, and that needs to change. I don't care if it's answering the phone on the first ring or making sure if someone watches that counter that somebody's right on top of it and making sure that their questions are answered in a timely fashion, or getting them the documents they need, or cutting back on the cost of getting documents from the city or filing things online. The city has to start working better with the businesses, or we're going to continue to lose more. We're already losing more than $1 million a year from the Flynn Road area. You can see that in prior budget studies. And we're going to keep losing businesses. You said it earlier. We've lost major corporations here in Camarillo. We can't afford to lose any more.
Thank you. Mr. Sharma.
Thank you. I will disagree with Chris, because the city, if any business person comes in the city or try to get help, I think the city has a very inside the city they have very good customer service. They treat people very well. You need anything, they will help you out, and so on. Because when I came here and I applied for my business license, I had to they explained me exactly what I needed. They asked, and I gave them things, what I had to provide them. Yes, it's more a manual labor, but it's not completely online. That's where we need to do. We need to make sure business people who want to start a business or a small business, they can do as many things as much online rather than coming here and walking and getting those things here at the city hall. So that is the key thing. Communicating using listserv, communicating through Facebook. These are the things we need to start looking where the city can, the businesses, because most of them are online, or most of them have now tools or toys to go online and get services provided by the city. The city definitely has a good relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, but that does not help out, because not like Chris said, that not everybody have a membership with Chambers of Commerce. I completely agree with that. There are a lot of businesses who don't have membership with the chambers, and those people are kind of left behind. So we need to help the businesses make good relationship, customer service, and communication is the key. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lorimer.
You know, I think people have forgotten we're in the worst economy. When do you know a business owner has time to come down here, jump on the computer? You know something? I've been down to the business owners. I've walked this route. I've talked to them. And you know something? You know what they said to me? I said to them, when's the last time you had a councilman come up and actually visit you? Only at election time. Mike Morgan goes to Senior Center and brings stale donuts. That's what they told me. He doesn't go walk to business and say, what's your problem? How can I help you? How can I service you? You know something? That's what's lacking in this city. You need a person to go out in the community, not just sit behind the podium. Go talk to the people. You know, I learned something when I worked for a large company. It's not the people and the reports that come in and tell you what's going on. It's when you go to the sales floor and you talk to the person who's dealing with the customer or has the problem. They know what's wrong. In fact, they'll give you the solutions. All you got to do is listen. That's what's wrong with this country. Sometimes, or even Camarillo, is we don't go out and talk to the people who are making the money. And you know, they pay taxes for the city, and we don't even give them the courtesy to go out. And another thing, you know, I had a couple of them told me, you know, the Camarillo Ranch House, they don't want to spend $35 to have a glass of wine to go talk to somebody. They should make that a free event once a year. So this is the reality. Who do you want in office? Do you want the same old routine? Obviously, we have problems in the city. It's time to bring in new people. Thank you.
Thank you. Who over here? Mr. Kildee.
Yes, obviously you can, as a longtime businessman, you can always improve your communication. But the type of jobs that are being that are coming to this type of economy that we have are changing. And one of the things that we did is that we got together with the university and said, okay, what kind of degrees are you going to have at the university vis-a-vis the type of jobs that are going to be in the next, in this century and in this next decade? And they said, for instance, nursing. So they started a nursing program out there. We have to make sure that the type of businesses that we have in Camarillo are for the future and the present, not necessarily just the past. We partner with the Chamber of Commerce to do things like that. We just improved our website that has a link to the Chamber of Commerce website here. The Chamber represents everybody. They do not pick and choose whether or not you're a member of the Chamber or not. If you have any business and any questions that you have, you would call the Chamber of Commerce, and I can almost 100% guarantee you, not only will they take the call, but they'll also try to answer your question, as will the city here as well. We got very fortunate, too. We just had a bequeathment from an individual that passed away in Camarillo for the library, and it's going to be thousands of dollars that are specifically going to spent on business. That would be websites, that would be CDs, that would be access to all the information that a businessman might need. So that's going to be a good thing.
Thank you. Mr. Little.
Well, two things. First of all, businesses can be anywhere in the world and do business any place in the world. So the idea of having a business rooted in your town and it's going to stay there forever is really passé anymore, because with technology they can operate out of a guy's den. So there's a loss of connection between identity of the business and the community that they were in. They could pull up and move any day. But having said that, I think that businesses, like anything else, want to be needed and feel needed. And I get back to the fact we need an economic development director that is assigned to that job. We need a visitation program that is active and out there every 2 or 3 weeks visiting current businesses, and we need to continue. The one thing I think that hasn't been said is this academic high school. The high school that is being proposed here is going to major in 2 or 3 areas that are business orientated. One of them is engineering and design, another is arts and media, and a third is biomedicine and technologies. And these programs will be not only for people going on to college, but also will have people trained that can go out right out of high school and do work and get a good paying job.
All right, thank you. And before I move on to the next question, I'll just comment that the Chamber of Commerce's membership is open to all businesses, whether you're in the city and outside the city, and the Chamber does represent all businesses, whether you're a member or not. Let's move on to the next question. So recently, and we've talked about the economy, there's been some comments about the state of California and the county and the cities locally. Large cities have filed bankruptcy: Stockton, San Bernardino. Some cities are attempting to recover from wasteful, if not unlawful, spending and fiscal policies, or they're under investigation for certain business tactics enjoyed by key employees. In a time of fiscal crisis all around us, we have to admit that Camarillo remains in great, or at least in better shape than other cities. This includes our close neighbors, which we feel that we're doing better than them in the county. Current incumbent council member Kevin Kildee has described the Camarillo residents as being blessed because of the healthy financial shape of the city. He's the sole incumbent running for this office, has been a council member for quite some time, as he pointed out, and appears to have played an integral role in developing or sustaining the fiscal policy that makes our community so strong. So 2 questions within this one question. With the admittedly strong and sound fiscal policy advanced by our current council, do you think that there should be a change in council members just for the sake of change, regardless of the qualifications or track record of the current city council, or do you think that you are the right candidate for the vacant council position? Mr. Valenzuela, I'll start with you.
Well, it's a little better than last time's loaded question, but still a little bit loaded in one person's favor, but we'll go with it. I'm not seeking to unseat anybody. I'm just seeking to get on the council. Here's the reality. The city of Camarillo is doing well because it has to. Because before, when we nearly went bankrupt, we were one of the only cities at that time that was having that problem. We had to find a way out of it, and as such, we've become very conservative with our funds. And that is a good thing. That has actually saved us now when the economy is down and it's causing other cities to go bankrupt. So it is wonderful that we've done that. However, when we're still paying $324,000 a year for our city senior leadership, and we're giving ourselves salary increases as a city council while giving 6% reductions in city budgets to city services and staff. And while we are looking at redevelopment funds, let's talk about this. Redevelopment funds is one thing the state pulled back from the city. Why? Because cities like Camarillo were abusing them. And I wanted to expand on that from the last question that I didn't get to try to answer that from. They were actually using the redevelopment funds to try to plan for the conference center at Springville. They're trying to use redevelopment funds to plan to build a grocery store village at the park, which is why it's not being built. All of this was exposed to us while we sat in there with city staff a couple weeks ago during the candidate orientation. So you know what? There are some things that need to be changed in the city. We need, while we're still fiscally sound, we need to be careful moving forward.
Thank you. Mr. Sharma.
The city has an ordinance for balanced budget, and I sat for 3 hours when we had the budget meeting at the city for the city council, and they to do the balanced budget they had to cut a lot of places, and they did, just to make sure that the city has the balanced budget. Currently the city is physical conscious, and also it makes sure that it provides all the services to the resident. All well and good. But you need a change because you have to think out of the box. You need to think how to increase the revenue. Just not keep what we have as a revenue coming, but thinking out of the box and have more revenue for the city so that eventually when there are any other crisis, we are not keep cutting the services just to balance the budget. So I don't feel the current council have an out-of-box thinking. What they are very conservative. They want to make sure there's a balanced budget. But and to do the balanced budget, the city manager and the staff has to cut as much as possible so that it's balanced. But that's not the way how business should work. We should think about how to grow business, how to increase revenue. What are the ways to increase the revenue? And I can do that job very well, because of my background in engineering, my background in management, my background in finance, and that will help that to make the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lorimer.
You know, part of being a councilman is having the courage to look at one of the departments and say, for example, you know, the police department's real important. I don't want to cut officers, but you know something? They came in here, wanted a DART vehicle, spent $45,000 of your taxpayers' money, and it's sitting over in the yard 95% of the time. Now, could we have gotten away with a $20,000 step van? Sure. But you know something? When you come up to the board and you say, I got to support everything the police does, you know something? You have to go through the budget, and you need to go to the departments, and you need to see what's going on there. And when they're spending too much money, you need to go in there and take it out. Now, that's not the case here. I mean, you go into certain departments, and they're spending certain money, and you just go along with it. So the thing is, yeah, we have a balanced budget, but you know something? We have some wasteful spending here. You know, I asked the police chief, I go, hey, by the way, 2010, 12, I mean, how much is your fuel cost? And he didn't even know. Okay, then I asked him, I go, if I gave you extra money, where would you spend it? He couldn't tell me. I asked 3 departments, what would you do with extra money? When they can't tell you, obviously you need to start looking at their funds. And regarding replacing the city council, you know something? They gave you the hugest tax increase in April of this year. If you're a homeowner or your business and you go to do work on your house, you're going to pay a lot more money in fees. And you know something? They give themselves an increase in salary. I mean, what does that show you? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kildee.
Yeah, our city doesn't scratch the top of our head unless we have an itch, and we don't spend money that we don't have. Our city has had outstanding leadership in the past. We have an outstanding city council at this particular time. I will go to battle with anybody that I've ever served for here. They serve our community with distinction, and they're extremely hard workers. I think stability on a council is a really, really good thing. As far as the other issues about the economy here and redevelopment, we are a model city in our redevelopment and how we have spent the money that we have got from redevelopment. We do not make the rules of redevelopment, but we do follow them, and I think we followed them very, very well. We would not have the factory outlets. We would not have Ventura Boulevard redeveloped to the way that it is right now. And we would not have as strong as economy as we have right now if we didn't have redevelopment here. We do have an investment policy that is very conservative. It will continue to be conservative. We have never, ever gambled with public money. We do not do that. And I am extremely proud of what the Ventura County Sheriffs do for our city. They have been with us since we incorporated in 1964. They're cost efficient, and they do a very good job for us.
Thank you. Mr. Little.
Well, I usually don't take try to stay out of the spotlight, but I'm going to take credit for that financial soundness, because I, along with some of the council members, one of which is sitting in the audience here, laid the foundations for all this sound financial policy. And I have to agree I'm really going to agree with several people here. Number one, the problems caused by that the city may have in funding its general fund budget is to a large extent due to the state pulling money away from the cities to try to finance their own mismanaged budgets. But the city has had a difficult shortfall for the last 3 years of having to make up about $3 million a year to balance the budget, and they've done it in different ways. And this year they got kind of, I guess you could say, serious about it and started kind of asking for reductions in department budgets and I guess some layoffs. So they are working towards that. They have a problem because of basically the economy and the state pulling money out of the cities, and of course redevelopment has not helped at all by the loss of redevelopment. And I really, I haven't been actively involved in redevelopment in several years, but I really feel badly when I hear someone say the city abused it, because I know they didn't.
All right, thank you. Mr. Schlangen.
Yeah. I appreciate the service of past and current members, and I'm not up here to knock anyone out. I'm here because I'm running for a seat on the city council, any seat. I feel that we need to get a new, younger individual onto the city council so that as retirements start happening with current council members, we can have that base of experience there so that as new individuals start coming onto the city council, we can continue to maintain our balanced budget and the fine community that we live in. And yes, I do feel that with my experience of the many years I've been here in Camarillo, as well as my volunteer work and my project management skills, that I do have the leadership skills to lead Camarillo into the future. I'll treat the money that is in the budget better than I treat my own. I believe that is what is needed and what is deserved for the citizens here in Camarillo. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the last question, and before I get to the last question, I just want to let you know that we will have a closing statement. I will start with Mr. Lorimer and work backwards across the dais here. So the last question, there's been several comments made about the university and the close proximity and the success that it's enjoyed. It opened its doors in 2002 and recently celebrated its 10th anniversary. It's grown tremendously. It's been hampered in its growth by the state budget, but it still has attracted well-qualified students, faculty, administrators, vendors, and business partners in its short history. It is one of the major economic engines of this community, and since it is on our doorstep, all indications lead to the conclusion that the university will continue to be an economic driver for the city and the business community. How do you believe, and Mr. Sharma, I'll start off with you, how can the city better integrate the Cal State University Channel Islands into the culture and economy of the city?
Thank you. You know, being an employee of California State University Channel Island, being a faculty there, I know exactly what you're saying. As a faculty member, I try to create entrepreneurs within my students. And I make sure that every student who is in my class has an entrepreneurial skills. When they graduate, they go out, they start their own business or get into jobs within the city. Now, that being said, there was a survey done a few years ago that majority of the students who live in Ventura, they generally graduate or they study at CSCCI or they study somewhere else. They come back to Camarillo in Ventura County, and they would like to work, and they like to work at the local places. And so we know that most of the students come back here and they would like to work. If they don't find work, the reason they don't find work because we don't have good we don't have enough big employer base here, so they try to go out of the city. To build the good relationship with the city, with the university and city, what city needs to do is to promote jobs as much as possible, make the environment of business-friendly place, so that we can get more students from the university, can do startup businesses here, or have if they are bigger employers, then they can get jobs here. That relationship can only happen when there is a good relationship between the university and the city of Camarillo. At this time, they do have it, but we need to enhance more to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lorimer.
You know, if you want to really partner with the school, one of the things you could do is, since they're over in this area, I think we should promote them starting a business right here in town, right? So why don't we have an initiative where we basically, you go to school here, you graduate, you start a business in Camarillo, and basically we won't charge you the fees to start your business. Don't you want the people who are raised here to create the business, to create jobs for your kids? That's what we need. You know something? You go look over at all the empty buildings. I talked about this before. And you see that the jobs in this town are basically at the factory outlet mall. There's some jobs over there. And you know something? You want your kids to be near you. You know something? And what happens is, you should know this too. If you read the paper, the birth rate, we only had 45 babies born in Camarillo. That means your young people are not staying here, they're leaving. That unit was moved to Oxnard. You want your kids to stay here, you have to create an environment. That means your city has to be more friendly, and they have to have initiatives for people to start business here. And by the way, you can't raise taxes in April like that and be for people who want to start a business. You know, the most important thing in life is encourage your kids to go to school. I think that's really important. But it's also, if you're going to talk the talk, you should start with the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kildee.
Yes, we have a great relationship with the university president out there, Dr. Rush, and I think if you asked him, he'd definitely acknowledge that. Our relationship is very good. We actually have a member of our city council, Charlotte Craven, that sits on the site authority out there. It's very important to have the lines of communication with the university because, as a lot of us know, the universities with a lot of cities in the state of California is not real good. We have an excellent, excellent relationship with them. We will continue to do that. We also need to work with them very closely to try to get graduates with the necessary skills that can stay in this area for employment. And that could be, for instance, teaching. For instance, Amgen's a very large employer here too. Let's make sure that we have degrees that they can get at the university to be employed there at Amgen as well too. So those are the type of things that we need to always be working with the university, and we will continue to work with the university on those. New issues will always come up. It's very important to always have clear lines of communication there too. And another thing that we did is improve the roadways to get out there as well, made it a lot better than what it was. So we're trying to plan as a city and as a county to remember it's a county is involved in this too. It's not just the city, but we always try to improve our infrastructure there so we can not have hopefully as much gridlock as we've had in the past, and that's specifically why we've improved the access to that university, and we will continue to improve it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Little.
Well, I think this is one question that follows on to a whole host of questions you've asked about relationships in the city. And I think as I listened to Kevin, I do know that there's a good relationship between the city and the university, and has been. And, of course, one of the reasons they're probably a better relationship is because they are out of town and not right in the center of it. So there's something to be said for that. But having said that, I think I would like to just say that I think one thing I've learned not being in the city government is that the city council and the staff takes a very parochial view of what our job is here. And they do not go beyond and start talking and have any kind of ongoing regular dialogue with what other institutions make up a community. And Lord, there is a lot more than just the city government. There are the schools, there's the university, the churches, there's the charitable giving organizations, there's all sorts of the hospitals. And I think we need in this city to have a effort by the council to have meetings on a regular basis with all or some of these groups at any one time, and to develop a dialogue where the problems of the schools are the problems of the city council in terms of being able to help them, and vice versa. And so I'd be advocating that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Slangen.
I believe what the city can do is to hold additional events out at the university, just to show that that relationship is strong and that we are thinking of them and keeping them in mind, as well as letting them reminding them of activities that are happening within the city itself. Just one that just came to my mind were the concerts and movies in the park, so that they can come and enjoy them and know that Camarillo is thinking and that relationship is strong between them. And as was mentioned, is to make sure that we continue to bring businesses and high-tech businesses here to the area, so that when these individuals graduate, they can stay here in Camarillo, then instead of, again, going to other areas around the state or the country where jobs or high-tech jobs are more available. And continue to have that voice of the client or voice of the customer, talking and communicating with them, finding out what their needs are, so that the city knows what the left hand and the right hand are doing, so we're not doing redundant work, and we can have that strong communication between us. And having I believe that the bike path, which is going to be expanding off Santa Rosa, is scheduled to go on out to the university. If it isn't, making sure that it does go there, so that the students living here in Camarillo have a safe way to get out to their classes and then back to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Valenzuela.
Sometimes I hate going last because there's a lot of ideas out there that I was already had in my mind. They've already been said. So let me try to make a few points. 15 years ago, when I began as a community activist here, I actually had fought to get that university here. When it finally came to fruition, I went to that school. I left UCLA and came out here to graduate from Cal State University Channel Islands, and I did with a bachelor's degree in business with honors. Great school. It is absolutely an economic driver for this community. But like so many up here have already said, we need to make sure that the people that are graduating there can come to this community and get a job rather than move back home with their high-priced degree and move back in with mom and dad. I want to see them be able to become productive members of society, to actually be contributing to the workforce, to be able to actually use their degrees. And, like Matt had said, offering entrepreneurs 2 years tax-free for their new business if they're to start it in this community. I think that's a great idea. Like Kevin had said, we have a great working relationship with President Rush. One thing that wasn't mentioned is how much involvement that the Chamber of Commerce has had in making that relationship work. The Chamber has done a fabulous job of being a bridge between the city and the university, finding out, basically working with them to figure out what type of classes need to be offered at the university to try to meet the needs of the local workforce. We just need to keep those going. And like Bill said, every single entity in this community needs to be brought into the city government, so that way we can make sure we're meeting their needs.
Thank you very much. So now at this point, I'd ask that you have a 2-minute closing statement, and I will start again to my right, Mr. Matt Larimore.
I've seen a lot in the city, but probably the worst thing that really bothers me, you have kids. And you know something? We've been talking about a high school for 8 years. $60 million was approved for this high school, and we're still talking about it. You know something? This city council shouldn't do anything but focus on getting that high school built. I mean, think about it. 8 years, and we're still talking about it. And then on top of it, you have a firehouse that's been sitting there for 15 years. So you talk about it's time for new leadership. That's just some of it. And on top of it, you're middle class. They raised your taxes. Go try to do a project on your home. You're a business owner. Go try to do it. It's going to cost you more money. That's not the way to grow business. You know, you look at everything, and you know something, look at who you have up here. And the thing is, let me ask you a question. When you go down your street, would you like to have the same color house everywhere you go? No. You want a makeup of different people. You know why? It brings different elements. It allows you to have different views of opinion. You know something? Last night, I was so proud of the people in Camarillo. You know why? Because even though they have a city council that's been sitting here a long time, and also the planning commission, they need to understand when the people want something, that should be a very decisive manner, and they should pay attention. It's very important. You know, like I said before, I'm capping mine at $1,000. I'm not taking funds from anybody. When you vote for me, there's nobody going to be in my pocket. I can tell you that right now. You know why? Because I care about people. I'm not doing this for the heck of it. I like people. This is my passion. I care about you. And you know something? When I come here, I think about people. And I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Sharma.
I want Camarillo to remain the Camarillo we love. We are lucky we have grown a lot smarter than other cities. It is important to keep that steady, smart growth that preserved the city my wife and I fell in love with years ago. I believe I am the only best candidate for the city council because I have a very unique background. I have a degree in engineering, civil engineering, and computer science, skill in modern management construction, education, and technology. These skills are vital to build tomorrow's community today. I am concerned that my 2 young children and your children can enjoy the American dream. What does it take to ensure that the right change happen for our future? It takes a council member who will listen and collaborate. It takes a council member with the right background in technology, management, and innovation. It takes a council member with a vision to lead Camarillo. I would be honored for the privilege of serving you as a council member. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Valenzano.
Well, I don't think there's only one best candidate for this job. I think there's a lot of candidates for this job. And the question you just got to ask yourself is, who do you want on the council? 2 of the individuals sitting at the dais today are going to be representing you in the future, and you just have to ask yourself who you want. You know, I'm glad that, you know, Puneet had a great experience when he went into City Hall to get his business license for his online travel site. But the brick and mortar companies that are out there servicing our vehicles, whether it's filling our tanks with gas, whether it's changing our tires, whether it's changing our oil, these are the individuals that I'm talking about. These are the ones that have an issue with the city. Not the ones that are internet-based and the ones that, like Bill said, yeah, they can start up anywhere. And, you know, I disagree with them. We need to keep them here in Camarillo. They should be based here in Camarillo, and businesses do have a choice, especially in a business or in a web-based economy. They do have a choice in where their brick-and-mortar stores are going to be, and we need to make sure that we work with them. I believe that my background in business, along with my legislative experience and my dedication to the betterment of this community and my service to others, makes me a good candidate for the job. And I hope that you would feel the same way. I know if you allow me the privilege of serving with you by giving me your vote, I will ensure that your voice and the voices of all of the community are heard louder than all others. I look forward to the opportunity of working for you to keep our city moving in the right direction, and I'm asking for your support. While my name might be in the middle of the pack of candidates on the ballot, I hope that it stands out as your first choice. Please remember on November 6th, when you go to the ballot box, to vote for Chris Valenzano for Camarillo City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schlangen.
Thank you again for allowing me to come and speak to you tonight. Elections are about the future, and I feel that it is an imperative that we elect the next generation to the City Council so that a new base of experience can be put in place before future retirements of current council members occur. and I feel that I am the best qualified to be that next generation. As I have stated in my past campaigns for the City Council and reiterating this time, I want to bring new vision and new energy to the City Council. Camarillo is growing up around us, and as a citizen that has grown up with it, I feel that I have the experience, knowledge, and dedication to lead Camarillo into the future. Working together, we can do what is hard and achieve what is great and make Camarillo an even better city for all its residents. You have heard what I want to do as a member of the City Council, as well as what my opponents would like to do. Now, the choice is yours. I encourage you to let your voice be heard and vote on November 6. While you're voting, I ask for your vote. My name is the first name on the ballot, and it should be your first choice. For additional information, please visit my website at www.davids2012.com. Again, that's davids2012.com. Remember, the name is David Schlungen, a hard name to pronounce, but an easy choice to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Little.
What this election comes down to is who can do the best job for the people of Camarillo. It's very easy to make promises, paint rosy pictures of the future. It also sounds very good to talk about generational shifts of power, as if that's going to be the solution to our problems. What is hard, and what takes skill and experience, is providing leadership to resolve the issues that are facing our city. In future years, I have had the experience and the proven leadership to achieve these results. Those of you who are here when the city lost its financial reserves, and those of you who are here when we rebounded from that disaster, know what that I can accomplish for this city. You know that I will do the job right. I have faced thousands of city issues in my career and have successfully dealt with them. There will be no need for an on-the-job training program if I'm elected. As a result of my 40 years of experience as city manager, I know what it takes to have a good council and what they can do and should do. I know what it takes to have a great city council. I believe I have the leadership and the knowledge to make that happen in Camarillo. I ask for your vote. I would appreciate your vote, and thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kildee.
Well, we've heard a lot of different issues that have been discussed here tonight, but I have to say this job is fun. I still really enjoy serving you, the residents of the city of Camarillo. I feel I have the experience, I have the energy, and I have the passion to carry us on the next 4 years here. As a small business owner, I have a vested interest in the economy of this community. My wife is employed, obviously. Many of my family members have been gainfully employed in this city. I don't eat if Camarillo residents don't come in and buy stuff from me. Believe me, I appreciate everything that this city has done for me and my family through these many years. We do have some challenges that face us in the future. Of course, the economy is always an issue here. We look for the type of developments that will only improve the quality of life that we have here. And we also look to have a balanced community. It's important that we have a balanced community, not only educationally, but also with our jobs description, so younger people will feel the need, like I was lucky enough, to be able to not only be raised here, but come back and be gainfully employed, buy a house, send my kids to the schools here, and also use the great recreation facilities that we have here. It's no small task that past councils, past individuals in this city have worked very hard to get to the type of a city that we have today, and I see no anything on the horizon that's going to change that. Our city will continue to prosper. Our city will continue to feel most of our residents being very safe. We've got great weather. We've got a great Chamber of Commerce here. We've set the table for future economic good things here, and our best days at Camarillo are definitely ahead of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. I want to thank you on behalf of the Chamber and the community here, for pausing from your campaigns to answer these questions for us and let us know your positions. So thank you very much, and good luck in the future, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chamber.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who came out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.